In the grand theatre of Italian football, where giants rule and legends are born, Hellas Verona's 1984-85 Scudetto win remains the most extraordinary underdog story ever told. A triumph of spirit, unity, and tactical brilliance that defied every expectation. Throughout football history, there are stories of dynasties, titans, the inevitable triumph of power and wealth. But then, there are whispers of something different. Tales that defy logic, that paint a canvas of emotion, and the indomitable spirit of the underdog. This is one such tale, a true football fairy tale from the heart of Italy, a story etched not in gold, but in the blue and yellow of a provincial club from the city of Romeo and Juliet, Hellas Verona. The year was 1984. Serie A was without question the greatest league on earth. It was a tactical crucible, a vibrant, passionate spectacle, where every Sunday was a gladiatorial contest played out in packed, pulsating stadiums. A galaxy of superstars graced its pitches: Platini, Rossi, Boniek, Falcao, Rummenigge, and the newly arrived Diego Maradona at Napoli. This was also an era stained by scandal. The match-fixing revelations of 1980 had rocked the sport, leading to a desperate bid to cleanse its image. And so, for the 84-85 season, a revolutionary change was introduced. Referees would be randomly assigned to matches, a stark departure from the previous panel selection. Little did anyone know, but this small change would become a factor in the most improbable Serie A triumph ever witnessed. In the heart of Verona, a city sculpted by history, by Shakespeare's timeless romance, and the grandeur of Roman emperors, football was, for decades, merely a footnote. A local passion, yes, a Sunday ritual, but never a stage for kings. The giants of Milan, Turin, Rome, they held court, and Serie A's coveted crown was their birthright. This wasn't just a matter of sporting prowess, it was a deeply ingrained social hierarchy, a footballing aristocracy where the powerful clubs with their deep pockets and illustrious histories were expected to reign supreme. Their trophy cabinets burgeoned with spoils of countless campaigns, testaments to decades of dominance. And then there was Hellas Verona, a club that had spent the vast majority of its existence bouncing precariously between the top flight and Serie B. Their history was modest, their ambitions seemingly constrained by immutable laws of Italian football hierarchy. They were a provincial club, often admired for their spirited defiance, but rarely, if ever, feared for their actual prowess. No one, absolutely no one, dared to dream of them challenging for the ultimate prize, the Serie A title. The very notion felt like a delusion, an affront to the established order. But every true fairy tale needs its architect, its quiet revolutionary. For Hellas Verona, that man was Osvaldo Bagnoli. He wasn't a charismatic orator, a fiery motivator who would grandstand before the press. Bagnoli was a man of profound humility, softly spoken, calm in his demeanour, yet beneath the exterior, he was processing an even greater foresight. He arrived at Verona in 81, having achieved success with clubs like Cesena. He brought with him a philosophy that seemed, on the surface, almost simplistic. Let players express themselves. In a league renowned for its rigid, almost militaristic tactical approaches, Bagnoli's belief in individual creativity and collective understanding was radical. Bagnoli understood something fundamental about his team. They weren't superstars. They couldn't outspend or outmuscle the giants who could simply buy the best talent from around the world. Their strengths lay elsewhere, in their collective spirit, their deep understanding of each other's movements, and their unwavering ability to work as one cohesive unit. He meticulously fostered an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect, where every player from the star striker to the utility substitute felt valued. Every voice was heard. He wasn't a dictator issuing orders. He was a conductor, subtly orchestrating a complex symphony of effort, intuition, and shared ambition. He gave his players the freedom to improvise within a clear framework, culminating in a sense of shared responsibility rather than a rigid adherence to a master plan. His tactical innovation, the zona mista, a hybrid of zonal marking and man-to-man coverage, was revolutionary in a league still largely wedded to its rigid Catenaccio systems. While others defended with stoic, fixed lines, Bagnoli's Verona moved with a fluid adaptability. Players weren't shackled to one position or one opponent. They shifted, covered, and pressed as a unit. This fluidity allowed this modest squad to punch significantly above their weight, to surprise and disorient opponents accustomed to predictable patterns. They became a tactical enigma, a team that could morph its shape and strategy mid-game, adapting to the nuances of their opponents. He built a team that was demonstrably greater than the sum of its individual parts, a true family, bound by shared ambition and an unwavering belief in their quiet leader's vision. And what a cast of characters he assembled for this improbable quest. These weren't the glittering, highly paid stars who adorned the teams of Juventus or Inter. Instead, they were a band of honest, hard-working artisans, each bringing a unique skill and an undeniable commitment to the collective. There was Pietro Fana, the elegant winger, whose dribbles were a dance of deception and speed, often leaving defenders bewildered. Antonio Di Gennaro, the midfield maestro, possessed an exquisite touch and vision that unlocked defences with passes no one else saw. Up front, the raw power and mercurial brilliance of the Dane Preben Elkjær, a true maverick, known as the Nordic Tank for his unstoppable runs, alongside the diminutive, tireless Giuseppe Galdarisi, a striker with an uncanny knack for being in the right place at the right time with a clinical finish. At the back, the stoic leadership of captain Roberto Trichella, a rock around whom the defence was built, his calm presence a constant reassurance. And then there was the German powerhouse, Hans Briegel, a true warrior whose incredible versatility saw him excel from defence into midfield, bringing an almost superhuman strength, stamina and tactical intelligence to every challenge. And then there was the goalkeeper, Claudio Gardella. He was a large, physically imposing goalkeeper, but it was also known for his agility and bravery and his penchant for stopping shots with any part of his body, including his feet, leading Gianni Agnelli, president of Juventus at the time, to declare, "Gardella is the best goalkeeper in the world." Without his hands, however. Briegel, in particular, embodied the team's spirit, a relentless engine, combining physical prowess with an astute understanding of Bagnoli's system. These weren't ego-driven superstars. They were a collective, a brotherhood forged in the fires of shared effort and mutual respect. Elkjær, for his eccentricities and free-spirited nature, embraced the team ethic completely. Di Gennaro, a local hero, played with heart and soul, his passes a canvas for his teammates' runs. They trained together with intensity, they shared meals, they celebrated every small victory with genuine camaraderie. They were Hellas Verona, and they were about to embark on the most improbable journey in Italian football history. A journey that would redefine what was possible for a so-called smaller club. The 84-85 season began not with a bang, but with a quiet tremor that soon turned into a seismic shock across the Italian peninsula. On the very first day, Hellas Verona faced the newly arrived Argentine phenomenon Diego Maradona and his highly anticipated Napoli side. In a stunning display of collective will, Verona didn't just compete, they won. It was a victory that transcended mere points. It was a powerful statement, a whisper that perhaps, just perhaps, something truly special was brewing in the unassuming city of Verona. The football world collectively raised an eyebrow, attributing it to a pre-season fluke or a Maradona-fueled hangover. But match after match, Verona continued to defy expectations. Their early results, far from a mere statistical anomaly, they beat Udinese with disciplined efficiency, and then conquered Fiorentina with a performance that showcased their tactical superiority. Each point gain wasn't just a statistic, it was a brick laid in the rapidly building foundation of their impossible dream. They weren't just winning, they were playing with freedom, a joy, a tactical intelligence that was infectious to watch. The ball moved with purpose, players understood their roles instinctively, and the entire team operated with a telepathic understanding. The established order of Serie A, initially dismissive, began to take notice. Was it a fluke, or a flash in the pan that would inevitably fade as the season wore on? The team's confidence soared with every surprising result. Bagnoli's calm and almost zen-like demeanour instilled a quiet strength and unwavering belief in his squad. The fans, long accustomed to cycles of mediocrity and fleeting glimpses of hope, found themselves daring to believe in something truly extraordinary. Their stadium, once just a local ground, became a cauldron of passion, a vibrant, pulsating sea of yellow and blue, thrumming with a collective hope that had never before dared to fully manifest. The city, usually reserved, began to buzz with an unprecedented excitement, a collective dream taking root. With the referees chosen randomly, the usual home team advantage or the subtle, almost imperceptible pressures often applied to officials when playing against the big, historically dominant clubs was at least theoretically nullified. Verona, the perennial underdog, suddenly found themselves playing on a field where rules were applied with a less predictable lean, where the weight of history and expectation on referees' shoulders was, for the first time, truly lessened. This wasn't about corruption or intentional manipulation, it was about the perception of power dynamics shifting. It was a subtle but profoundly significant disruption to the old order that allowed Verona's pure footballing merit, their tactical superiority, and their collective effort to shine without the traditional headwinds of historical bias. Their victories, therefore, felt all the more legitimate and all the more earned. Verona wasn't just leading, they were dictating the pace, setting the rhythm of the league. Each week became a cup final, each opponent a formidable hurdle that they approached with the unwavering determination that they had for the rest of the season. The moment that truly cemented Verona as potential title challengers came early in the season against the reigning champions, Giovanni Trapattoni's mighty Juventus, a team boasting the likes of Platini, Boniek and Rossi, and Verona, the upstart, stood firm. Doubts persisted, especially after their first defeat to Avellino. Many expected them to fade, but this Verona side was different. The spirit was unbreakable. Against Udinese, they squandered a 3-0 lead, only to dig deep and score 2 more goals and snatch a remarkable 5-3 victory. Days later, facing Inter with 6 first-teamers struck down by illness, they rallied from a goal down to secure a vital point. This was a team that simply refused to lose. Only Inter and Torino remained within touching distance. In a moment of pure, unadulterated grit, determination, and a touch of the absurd, Elkjær, having lost his boot in a challenge, continued his relentless run towards goal. Shrugging off defenders with a bare foot, he managed to slot the ball past the keeper into the net. It was a goal that encapsulated their entire season. Raw courage, unwavering focus, disregard for conventionality, and a touch of the chaotic brilliance that made them so endearing. The fans erupted in a deafening roar. It wasn't just a goal, it was a declaration, a defiant scream that echoed across Italy. Hellas Verona were not going anywhere. The decisive stretch of the season was a nerve-wracking tightrope walk. Every point was precious, every tackle, every pass, every save felt monumental. The most significant test came against Roma. It was a match of immense pressure, a true 6-pointer where Bagnoli's tactical genius shone brightest. His system nullified Roma's potent attack, frustrating their creative players and stifling their rhythm. Verona held firm, securing a vital victory that kept them firmly atop of the table. A hard-fought point against Sampdoria, battling against a resilient opponent, further solidified their lead. A nervous 2-1 home defeat to Torino reduced the gap, but Verona held strong, their lead slender but unyielding. The city of Verona collectively held its breath. The dream was no longer a whispered hope, it was a roaring chorus, a tangible, almost palpable entity that gripped the entire community. Flags appeared from every window, scarves adorned every statue, and every conversation revolved around the impending triumph. On the 12th of May 1985, the air in Verona crackled with an almost unbearable anticipation. 1 point was all they needed, one single point against Atalanta, to etch their name into footballing immortality, to rewrite the history books. The stadium was a kaleidoscope of yellow and blue, a living, breathing entity, pulsating with 40,000 dreams, each one soaring with a hope almost too fragile to contain. The atmosphere was electric, a mixture of fervent belief and raw, trembling nerves. The match itself was tight, tense, a grinding battle of nerves and attrition. Atalanta, knowing they were playing the role of spoiler, fought with fierce determination, but this Hellas Verona side, forged in humility, bound by an unbreakable spirit, would not be denied. They battled for every inch, every tackle, every ball, and then the breakthrough. A scramble in the box, and then the ball was in the net. The stadium erupted in an explosion of sound, a collective release of tension and pure ecstasy. The dream was almost within their grasp, just moments away from becoming a reality. The minutes that followed crawled by, each tick of the clock an eternity. The players fought with every fibre of their being. The fans roared them on with every breath. And then, finally, the piercing, glorious sound of the final whistle, a sound that echoed across Italy, reverberating through every living room, every bar. The whistle signified the sound of history being rewritten, the sound of the impossible dream being made real. Hellas Verona, champions of Italy. The scenes that followed were delirium, a chaotic symphony of joy. The pitch became a sea of humanity, yellow and blue flags waving wildly. Players, managers, fans, all united in a joyous, tearful embrace, indistinguishable in their shared triumph. From the city's ancient Roman arena to its quietest alleyways, Verona exploded in celebration. Street parties erupted spontaneously, horns blared, chants of champions filled the night sky. For one glorious moment, a modest provincial club had conquered the giants, proving to the world that heart, unity, and an unwavering belief could indeed move mountains and overcome the most entrenched hierarchies. The 84-85 Scudetto was not just a football championship, it was a phenomenon, a singular, transcendent event in Italian football history. It wasn't replicated. The following season saw the lottery referee system quietly abandoned, and the old order of power and influence gradually reasserted itself. Hellas Verona would never again reach such dizzying heights. a poignant reminder of the rare, almost miraculous nature of this perfect storm. The club would return to its more familiar cycle of struggle and survival, making their triumph shine even brighter as a unique, unrepeatable moment. But their legacy endures, shining like a beacon of hope for all underdogs. It's a timeless testament to the power of collective spirit over individual brilliance, of strategic ingenuity over brute financial force. Bagnoli's Zona Mista became a blueprint for future tactical innovations, influencing coaches far beyond the confines of Verona, a testament to his quiet genius. The names of Elkjær, Di Gennaro, Galdarisi, Trekella and Briegel became etched not in just Veronan folklore, but in the annals of football romanticism, spoken with reverence by those who cherish the unexpected. In an era increasingly dominated by superclubs, immense wealth and nation-states, Hellas Verona's title stands as a defiant, beautiful anomaly. It's a whispered hope in the ears of every fan of a smaller club, a potent reminder that in football the script isn't always written by money or pedigree. Sometimes, just sometimes, the impossible happens, and a collection of committed, underestimated individuals can upset the established order and claim their place in history. Their title was more than just a title. It was a fleeting, magnificent alignment of stars, a visionary manager, a band of warriors, a city that dared to dream beyond its historical limitations, and a precise moment in time where the very fabric of Italian football shifted, just enough to allow a miracle to bloom. It stands as a timeless fairy tale, a potent reminder for every football romantic, every believer in the underdog, that the beautiful game at its purest is not about the biggest budgets or the grandest stadiums. It's about passion, about unity, about the unyielding belief in oneself and one's teammates. It's about those extraordinary moments of impossible glory that defy all logic and stir the very soul. It reminds us that magic can still find a way to thrive, turning ordinary men into immortal legends, and the modest provincial club into champions forever. And in the heart of Verona, the echoes of that impossible roar will forever resonate, constant reminder that dreams, however audacious, can indeed come true. If you like underdog stories and football with a soul, hit like and subscribe. What are your memories of this fantastic Verona side? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more football history, one incredible story at a time.